Hello and welcome to Politics. Today I'm Farrukh Pitafi. Once again we are going to talk about Pakistan's domestic politics. It is important because in Pakistan it seems that a transition and dynamics never cease to exist. Even right now it seems that all of a sudden Pakistan's opposition parties have come back to life. First we saw Faisalabad Jalsa of Pmln or PTM for that matter. Then Maulana Fazlur Rahman also held a jalsa, and we saw one in Karachi by People's Party as well. All these parties are trying to show their force, but the question is, the parties that have been more or less sleeping for 3 years, why are they coming back to life? The second thing is, if you look at these activities, one would actually assume that we are entering an election year. This is not an election year. We still are 21 months away, at least, from the next elections. So what exactly is going on? Usually the punters and the pundits point to the assumptions about civil-military relations. The problem with opposition parties is that no matter whosoever was when it comes to the military side, whosoever was there, they always had problem with them. So the question is, even if today they were able to exploit this situation, if there is at all any kind of politicization, how will they benefit in coming days? They can't. They don't seem to have the ability. Secondly, the biggest issue is inflation. We know that the food prices all over the world are rising. We know that the energy prices and the fuel prices are also rising. And then regarding our own circular debt, we have done a number of programs on that matter as well. So there's also a possibility that opposition might be actually trying to capitalize on this sentiment. But sadly, they still need to focus and hone their messaging, because in the past few days, the public sentiments, public jalsas that we saw coming from opposition hardly ever focused on these matters. We are going to talk about all these matters and more to understand what Pakistan's politics is going to look like in a few months, where we are headed. But before that, and before I introduce the panelists, we have a package for you. Let us first watch that, and then we are going to resume the discussion.
The Pakistan Democratic Movement has revived its attempt to put pressure on the government, and rallies have been held in Karachi and Faisalabad. According to media reports, Jamiat-e-Ulama-e-Islam Fazl Chief Maulana Fazlur Rahman will preside over a meeting of the PDM leadership in Islamabad, which would take into stock various issues such as inflation, electoral reforms, and the use of electronic voting machines, NAB Amendment Ordinance 2021, and other issues. While addressing a rally in Karachi, Pakistan People's Party chairperson Bilawal Bhutto Zardari claimed that his party would continue its anti-government campaign until Prime Minister Imran Khan is ousted. While speaking at a presser, Federal Minister for Information Fawad Chaudhry stressed that the government wants to introduce such electoral reforms that may make the electoral process and results acceptable to all. He declared that the opposition would be contacted next week on the matters pertaining to NAB ordinance, with the assurance of incorporating into the bill the amendments having consensus of both the government and opposition. Taking a jibe at the revived PDM attempts, Sheikh Rashid asserted that the misunderstanding that Prime Minister Imran Khan will be ousted should be cleared, as he was here to stay. Addressing the grievances about the price hikes, Sheikh Rashid explained that inflation was connected with the fluctuating international prices and economic situation. He clarified that the trend of increasing prices of petroleum, edible oil, wheat, and other edible items in the international markets had repercussions.
So we are going to talk about all these matters only a little while before coming to the studio. We learned that Maulana Fazlur Rahman has announced that PDM is going to actually hold jalsas and protests all over the country after 20th. So that is quite interesting a thing as well. But as I pointed out, and we are going to check it in the program as well, the pundits say that the only threat to the ruling party comes from its own faults or follies, not from any of the opposition parties. In order to help us understand these matters, we are joined by Ahmed Jawad Sahab, who is Central Information Secretary of Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf. Thank you very much, sir, for being part of the program. Fareed Rais, a journalist, a young, boisterous journalist and talk show host, also joins us. Whenever he comes to the studio, whenever he comes to the program, we have a ball of time. Thank you very much for being part of the program. Rana Ehsan Afzal Khan joins us on Skype. He is a young budding leader of Pakistan Muslim League Nawaz. He was on stage when Maryam Nawaz was making that speech in Faisalabad. Faisalabad is, of course, his constituency as well. Thank you very much, Rana Sahab, for being part of the program. Let me start with on the basis of proximity, and you're sitting next to me, Ahmed Jawad Sahab. Let me ask you about the price hike and how it is going to have an impact on politics. Whether the opposition is able to actually capitalize on this worry or this trauma by the people, it is a concern that is going to actually affect your voters. In the end, usually voters actually decide not to show up on the election day.
Farrukh, I think when we are talking about the price hike, there could be three angles we can look at it. One is the realistic angle, that what actually is the background of price hike. And the second is what perception is being created by opposition or maybe media in some corners of the media.
And media is responsible for the cost
No,
of petroleum products reaching this high,
No,
unprecedented high.
I didn't say that.
Or gobi, bhindi,
I didn't say that.
all those vegetables which are skyrocketing. Media is responsible for
I think you rightly pointed out something about the assumptions, and you are taking full liberty of taking assumptions. I don't mind.
Okay. Thank you very much. At least you concede that right.
So I don't mind anybody taking assumptions.
Yeah.
Because, and the third important thing is what actually a common man is going through. I mean, it doesn't matter even if he's told that the price hike is due to some natural international factors, and it has less to do with the choice of the government or the decision of the government. So these are the three parts. The first part, the inflation overall global, I think we can see that food inflation and inflation rising in America more than in last 2-3 decades. We are seeing inflation in China. We have just seen Singapore a few days back. They had to appreciate their Singapore dollar to prevent the inflation. We have seen Tayyip Erdogan talking about food inflation and protests and criticism from opposition in the media.
But how are you going to tell your voters that this is how things are? And you have to still vote for us or support us, not the opposition?
Like I told you that I divided price hike into three. The third part is how the common man is going. The first part is we should first know the reality.
Yeah.
First we should know the actual dynamics. That is also important, because I think that is what the talk shows are meant, that we should also create awareness. Not what is already being understood because of the simplicity, because of the perception being created. So the first part is that we must understand that there is an international inflation faced by Europe, America, all the countries. And the second thing is, what are the reasons for the inflation? I think there are two very important factors which is affecting Pakistan. One is the petrol, and second is the energy prices. Petrol, as you know, that it is double the price what we have last year. Energy prices, we are just bound to buy the energy from those energy projects which were installed by Pmln government or previously by the IPPs. Unfortunately, we could not shift to cheap energy. Now we have started hydel project. In future we are going to start solar and wind projects, and then we can have energy to 3 rupees per unit. At the moment, we are nearly 20 rupees.
Yeah.
So this is again not an option for the government.
Right.
What government is doing, that the government has reduced the tax levies from 50% to almost 8%. This is what the government could do.
Yeah, but there are multiple contributing factors. For example, rupee weakening is a big problem. Circular debt you haven't been able to manage, it is a big problem. IMF's negotiations are still going, but there are concerns over there as well. So you can say that there are multiple international forces which might be actually dictating this, but there are some local factors or governance issues as well. Allow me to actually bring in the other guests.
Please.
Then we are going to actually move forward. Before I, Fareed, before I go far regarding the political side, I have to actually first ask you to introspect the media's behavior in past 2 weeks. One, out of nowhere, it kind of created this environment on speculation, based on speculations about civil-military relations. And then yesterday, media kept on reporting that the talks with IMF have failed. And why? Because the finance minister, who is now finance advisor, actually ceased to be finance minister. The fact is that he had taken a finance secretary along, and they were going on with their parleys. It takes some time. So don't you think that media somehow keeps on dropping the ball, and that's why it creates more confusion in the system?
There were much talks in the recent past regarding this appointment of which has been speculated more on the media, among the circles, among all the circles over here. I think the basic responsibility of the media is to report on the core issues of the people, what they are facing along.
Okay.
As these are the appointments and whatever being discussed by the Prime Minister, as told by the Information Minister Fawaz Chaudhry Sahab, as the matter was discussed in the cabinet meeting also, and when it was said by the government that the matter will be resolved in the couple of days, then there is no room left for the media to discuss it about. But still there are rumors floating around that much has been done, and there is a
you realize that because we are basing a lot on hearsay and speculation,
yes,
and sources.
Yes.
Yesterday, the government received the same summary for the third time.
Yes.
As per the media. I don't know why. But my question is regarding ability to double check your sources and double check your facts. Because a lot of hearsay was reported on television screen that can actually undermine public's confidence in media. We have seen it in the US.
You are very true about it, that the media, the basic responsibility of the media is to check the facts. What are the facts around it? But because if the government spokesperson is denying the fact, then there is no room left for you. The basic thing which the people are nowadays suffering, they are going through the pain, they are going through the agony by the rising prices, by the rising fuel prices, by the rising cost of electricity, by the rising, in the recent coming days, the people will have to face the music of unavailability of the gas, and already what
edible oil
and all those things. These are the core issues. Yes, I agree to some extent with Ahmed Jawad Sahab also, and I also realize about this thing. Whenever you talk to someone, when you go and you read about the things, I talk to many people in Europe, in US, and all different countries. They say, okay, yes, there is inflation, then the things have risen up. But as far as Pakistan is concerned, the purchasing power, the capacity to purchase something in Pakistan, the per capita income and the per day income of an individual, it's very low. Right. And that's where the people are worrying about, that how come will they face this? This is the thing.
Is it going to affect the government?
Definitely the people.
How?
Look at the thing. They are now the people, now the media, especially the people, I'm not talking about the media or all other the political party, but the people nowadays are very intelligent nowadays with the emergence of the social media, with the emergence of all the tools and gadgets with you. They now dig out the statements given by our Prime Minister in the recent past, when he used to say that I will not have to pay the bills, or I will go for the protest in the assemblies, on the streets also. But now the people are referring to the same statements, that whatever was said in the past, is it not possible to implement for our Prime Minister when he is in the government?
One last intervention.
Yeah.
Is it, if it is going to negatively affect the government, is it going to positively affect the spirit and support base of the opposition? Yes or no?
I think so. The opposition will take the edge on it.
Right, that is quite interesting because it seems that these issues were going on for past three years, and there were many issues, but opposition could not capitalize on that. Rana Ahsan Azal Khan Sahab, let me ask you, after this much time, why do you think that when your party and when PDM is actually agitating or meeting with the people, things are different this time, and then once again your efforts and your energy will not peter out within a few weeks or months?
Firstly, I think the last round of PDM was quite successful to the extent that we won almost all the by-elections in Pakistan, and that was the end result. Even though it ended up with the People's Party leaving PDM due to some, concerns over resignations and about the leader of opposition selection in the Senate. So, there was a null period, but now we see that the country and the economy of Pakistan is in a deep crisis, and we feel that it is the right time once again to raise the voice against this mismanagement, corruption and misgovernance. And we feel that the people of Pakistan are demanding that we get rid of this incompetent government. And there is this narrative which was repeated here today as well, that it is a world phenomena that inflation is so high. So I would just like to put some figures. The food inflation, you mentioned food inflation, Pitafi Saab. So the food inflation in India in August was 3.1% versus Pakistan 10.2%. In September last month, the food inflation in India was 1% versus in Pakistan 10.8%. So, petrol prices are rising in India as well. They're going through this COVID phenomena over there as well. But over here, we see that food prices are in double digits. We see that overall inflation, which in India is in the range of 4 to 5%, in Pakistan, it is between 8 to 9%. In Bangladesh, it is around 5.5%. So yes, there is inflation all around the world, but in Pakistan, it's at double the rate. And why is that? It is,
I understand that these are your concerns, sir, and I've been hearing them for past 3 years. But with due respect, when it comes to what you were talking about, the accomplishments of PDM were, let us face it, whatever the victories in Punjab or by elections, your party was not able to change any government in the provinces or at the center. Secondly, PDM is not a political or electoral alliance. It might be agitational alliance, but it is not, an alliance that changes electoral outcomes. And third, this PDM, during your activities and all activism, lost some crucial members. It lost People's Party, it lost ANP. So the question still stands, regardless of what government is doing. Is opposition in the capacity to change anything about anything?
Okay, firstly, PDM can turn into an electoral alliance. There is no ban on it. It is a possibility. Yes, People's Party left, but we feel that, there is going to be no compromise on those 26-point agenda of PDM. And we feel that in the long run, we will be successful. Because the narrative is correct. So whether we will be able to take the government down, we feel that we're going to utilize all the forums in a democratic way. We're not going for any behind the scenes move or so the one way was that the opposition resigned en masse. That did not work. But now the crisis has deepened. I mean, now we feel with just a little above 1.5 years left, we feel that there is going to be movement within PTI. People are pretty upset within PTI about this misgovernance, and we feel that this pressure where the dollar could go up to 200, God forbid, we don't want that to happen. So we are still failing with the IMF talks.
In essence, what you are saying is that because there are these crises have actually worsened, you are hoping that the government will fall on its own, based on its own contradictions. And your
No,
party
but there's
will
going
be
to be the
happy to
pressure
see
from
that happen.
PDM. No, there is
Okay,
going to.
okay.
We are going to build up the pressure. We're going to.
Okay.
We are going to take our narrative. We're going to expose
Yeah,
the government on
3
the
years
streets
is
in
not.
Jalsa.
If I look at the past 3 years, I don't see a lot of proof of that happening. But let me come back to the studio. Ahmed Jawad Sahab, regardless of what opposition does or does not do, there are facts on which we can all agree that there have been problems and complications based perhaps on policy, where inflation keeps rising, where governance issues, your Punjab government has a serious issue with bureaucracy. You keep on changing their chief secretary and then IG police, and umpteen such things have happened. Economically also, in terms of economics also, perhaps you have contributed to the complications of this situation. Is it not true? And your voter is going to be really, really, really saddened by that.
Farrukh, the economy I will take later if you allow me, because there was discussion on 2 points. One is civil-military relationship and the ongoing debate on the notification.
Yeah.
According to Article 243, Cabinet led by Prime Minister has the command and control of the armed forces. And according to this, from the 3 services, if there is a services chief to be appointed or a DGISI is to be appointed, so a list of recommendation is given. And then Prime Minister has to pick one name. And how does he do his evaluation, whether he takes an interview, whether he looks into the CVs, or whether he takes 2 days or whether he takes 2 weeks. I mean, nothing is really need to be debated like it is being debated in media these days, like it's a cricket match and you have to give a commentary on it, that what is happening right now. I mean, it's a very simple case of approving an appointment, and it is with the Prime Minister, and it is his discretion, his jurisdiction, that he has to approve it. It can be in 1 week, it can be in a few days. So there is not much need to debate this like a commentary on a match.
Yeah, but we are not commentating on that at all. My question was primarily about economic issues, right? The question was about media as a responsibility, and I asked a journalist, and you saw his answer as well. Can you? I'm asking everybody about their responsibility. I understand.
Yeah. So a civil-military relationship and the ongoing notification. So it was in response to what Fareed Reis just answered to your question.
Yeah.
So I had to give my comments.
Okay.
The second thing, your question is regarding PDM also, that what PDM is going to do, whether it is helping them, what is their agenda. So I would like to make a few comments that what new we are expecting from PDM, except that last time it was 11 party movement, now it is -2 movement, and what else they are going to do which they have not done in their phase 1. So I don't think so there is anything serious which needs to be taken about any agitation or movement by the PDM. And Rana Sahab said that there should be a democratic way to remove the government. And I think the democratic way to remove the government is that you can have a no confidence motion in the parliament. If you have unity among your opposition parties, so you can go for that. That's a democratic way. But once you try to remove it through pressure tactics on the streets and on the roads, or by spreading rumors or creating a perception, so that is actually, I would say, de-accelerating the economy of the country, the political stability of the country. But anyway, this is the choice of opposition. The last question which you asked about the economy.
Actually, it wasn't the last question. Let record show it was a question.
It doesn't matter, Farrukh.
Okay.
Once you invite me here,
Yeah, but I have to remind you that you were talking about everything else, but not my question.
Because you provided me a pen and a paper,
Yeah.
and I have very good notes in front of me.
Yeah.
But once I am here, I have to take this liberty. Whatever is the subject going on, discussion, I cannot stay aloof to that, especially when the subject is very much related to the government.
Do you want
So
to
please
answer the
allow
question? Do you want to answer the question?
So please allow the government spokesman to give his opinion on the subjects which are being discussed in the program.
Okay.
So I just took that liberty with your permission. If you did not like it, I'm sorry for that. So coming back to the economy, you were asking about the performance of the government. So let me tell you about the performance of the government.
No, how you are going to sell it to the people, your voters?
Yeah, you allow me, I'm going to sell
I'm
now.
clarifying my question.
You don't need to. If you listen to me, you will not need to give
Sir,
any clarification.
I think someday we'll have to do a one-on-one so that you can talk without realizing that other people have to talk as well.
Now allow me, because you wanted to know about the performance of the government. The performance of the government, it starts with the highest foreign reserves in the history of country. The performance of the government is the highest foreign remittance. Performance of the government is rising revenue collection. Performance of the government is the starting of 3 dams after 50 years. Performance of the government is rising exports. Performance of the government is economic activity in construction and textile industry.
Yeah.
So these are a number of performance factors which government can be really proud of. I'm not talking about at the moment.
Foreign reserves, how much is that?
About $29 billion.
Okay.
So
we have never been there before?
I think we never crossed 21 or 22.
Okay.
That was the highest we ever achieved. Foreign remittance, we never crossed 20. At the moment,
remittances is a different
foreign
story.
remittance, we crossed 27 last year, and this time the graph perhaps reaching $30 billion.
Right. So your voter will be happy with all this progress, even if he has to pay more in terms of fuel, vegetables.
I gave you the answer. The $1 million question, that how the public is going to respond to our performance, I think the measurement of that is only elections, or any by-elections, or local body election, any type of election. We just had cantonment board elections, and according to the results, PTI emerged as the single party which has representation all across Pakistan in every province, whereas the 2 major political parties, they were just restricted as provincial parties, one in Punjab and one in Sindh, partially in Sindh, not fully. So I think your question has well answered in terms of results of cantonment board elections.
Right.
And the next test.
When was the cantonment board election, by the way?
A few months ago.
Okay. And when was the price hike, the new price hike?
Price hike is going on since last 1 year.
No, but I mean, we are talking about immediate incidents.
The immediate hike is in the petrol and energy prices. Yes, it is quite vertical.
Yeah. You cannot actually segment date on
so
what
we
you
will
did
wait
yesterday.
for the local body election.
Yeah.
It is coming soon.
Okay, that we are going to discuss as well. But let me return to Fareed Rais. Fareed, you have listened to Rana Jawad, Ahmad Jawad.
No problem. You can mix. You can mix the names.
Yeah. No. Okay, let me actually try to run everything by you before I speak. But these foibles happen. Can you actually comment on both as a neutral observer? Do you think that people are more likely to listen to Ahmad Jawad Sahab or Rana Ehsan Sahab?
Farrukh Sahab, actually, as what Rana Ehsan Sahab was talking about, the PDM lost the opportunity as they are trying, as they are saying, as they are complaining, and as they are of the opinion that the government is unable to govern, or they are in a very bad shape, the governance is in a very bad shape. I still remember the boom and the peak when the PDM was at, when these 11 parties were there. They had the opportunity, they had the possibility. I'm talking about all the constitutional opportunities, not the unconstitutional ones.
Qualify that.
Yeah. So for that, the basic thing what they needed to do is to bring the change within the house, within the parliament. But the PDM failed to do that. Actually, they blamed each other. Once we all remember that it was a peak time for the PDM, when the PMLN, when the People's Party, when all other political parties were there, and they were holding hands in hands together. But now it seems as if they are in the blame games, and they don't trust each other in bringing any kind of a movement or in bringing any kind of campaign against the government. So they lost that opportunity. They have a very good opportunity right now that they can reap this chance, taking account into all the rising inflation, rising petroleum prices, the devaluation of the money, and all the things as far as the IMF is concerned, and whatever the talks have been held by Shaukatreen Saab in the Washington DC. But these are the things which the opposition need to be united. But at this moment, I don't think so that the opposition have the unity to go against the government. So, so in my opinion, they have to face and they have to wait for the next elections.
Okay.
And elections are the...
I'm glad that you actually gave me this answer. We saw lack of unity. That's why PDM actually fell apart. But now there seems to be some kind of consolidation within at least PDM. The 9 parties which are there are united. We know that. And then there was this matter of divide within PMLN. And we heard only a couple of days ago that both sides, Maryam Nawaz's side and Shehbaz Sharif's side, have somehow worked out their differences, and they are now actually heading in the same direction. That might be because of whatever was being reported on television and all. People's Party also seems to be gearing up for its own, image and impact. Which one is going to be a better opposition at this moment, PDM or People's Party?
You're asking this question to me?
Yeah.
Okay. I think so. The People's Party is playing on its pitch as Bilawal, as we all know that in the recent past, he has been announcing that the coming government will be by the People's Party. As all the parties claim, they have the right to claim about that in the next coming elections they will form. But at this moment, what I believe in this thing, that and as an individual parties, they cannot go for it. They have to wait for the election, and if they want to give some tough time to the government, that was the best part. That was the best platform of the PDM also. As you told earlier, that it's not the electoral platform, it is not an authorized platform, it's just the formation or the unity or the collaboration of these parties. But at this moment, people will not go for just criticism. If Bilawal Bhutto is just saying that this is the selected government or the Prime Minister is a puppet Prime Minister, people don't believe in this thing unless and until they see something on the ground done by the opposition parties. If the opposition parties are really very much interested, and if they really very much to talk about the common man of this country, and if they want a tough time, they want to give some kind of a challenge to the present government, they need to get united. And if they are not getting united, if there are...
No, but you are not going to tell me which party is more popular in opposition right now?
At this moment, Pmln is giving some tough time.
Farid, are you from Punjab or somewhere else?
No, I'm not from Punjab or nothing else. But at this moment, whatever.
No, I'm asking this because in Punjab they might have gained some seats, but in the rest of the country, PMLN keeps on losing. We saw in Kashmir.
But the same goes with the People's. But the
People's Party gained in Kashmir, right?
It is. But at this moment, if you talk about Sindh, yes, there is People's Party. You talk in Punjab, yes, there is PMLN. But what I need to make the people understand, and what I need to answer is that unless and until there is some kind of a coordinated efforts by the opposition parties,
that cannot happen because People's Party believes in being part of the system since 1985.
So they need to wait for the elections.
But PMLN believes in all these nuclear options, so they are not essentially going to be on the same page. So we cannot actually hope for the moon and the sky and the sun, right? That is a reality. But I understand that this is an opinion you have. Let me, excuse me, go back to Rana Ehsan Afzal Saab. Rana Saab, regarding your party's stance, it seems that one by one, PTI keeps on capturing your spaces. First, right of the center party. Now PTI, actually claims that space. Then regarding your recent slogans, vote ko izzat do. Once again, it seems that PTI is gradually claiming that as well, because the outcome of this civil military narrative was, of course, that PTI is actually holding its own ground. And then regarding Punjab itself, it seems that PTI is going to be the main challenger for your party. And meanwhile, your party doesn't seem to be actually pushing back as hard as was expected.
Okay. Now, my personal opinion is that PTI is not gaining any space. We are heading for an economic disaster right now. People are having difficulty passing a single day on whatever they're earning versus their expenses. We are unable to control the value of rupee. The government, the finance minister says that we don't understand why this inflation is happening. So, they're not gaining any space. If they are, they're living in a dreamy world. So, I think it is the opposition which is gaining space each and every day. Because
Which
whatever
opposition?
they had promised, whatever...
Rana Sahab, which opposition?
Us,
Your
PMLN,
party or someone else?
PDM.
PDM is
and
not only
Pmln
opposition.
is gaining.
There are other opposition parties. People's Party is very predominant among them.
Well, when it comes to the elections, it's going to be who performed and who delivered versus, where this country was in 2018 and wherever, it is when the elections happen. So it is going to be based on that, and I feel that our performance was great, and we will again flourish on that basis. But the thing is that PTI is not gaining any ground. Be ascertained about that, because whatever is happening with the economy every day, it is not being controlled by PTI. They have no direction, no vision for the next 2 years.
And Rana Sahab, this is what I've been very humbly submitting to you, that democracy is not a zero-sum game. If they are losing, it doesn't mean that essentially your party is winning or gaining that ground. There are many other forces when you talk about political or democratic forces, and then there are forces of chaos as well. You don't know which one is actually gaining ground till the time you don't claim it. You don't seem to be claiming it, do you?
No, we are going to be claiming it when we go for a national outreach program, which is going to be rallies and protests. It's going to be, in a way, a preparation for the coming elections.
Can I make your job easier by actually asking you very quick questions? Do you think Punjab government is actually performing up to par?
Not at all. I mean, on what measure?
The numbers are so close in Punjab. Do you have any plans to oust the Punjab government, and do you have a chief ministerial candidate, sir?
Hamza is the next chief ministerial candidate, and there is not. We haven't reached a decision on whether we're going to make a move. But there is obviously that possibility in the coming days and months.
3 years down the lane, you are telling me that you haven't made a decision. That means you haven't made a decision. It is not to topple the apple cart.
I mean, no. The thing is, my personal opinion is that, I would want to see PTI complete its tenure, so they do not have any thing to say that the opposition toppled them and they were not given a chance to perform. So I personally believe that they should complete their 5-year tenure. But it is for Pakistan that, if they continue, they're not in control of things. Just, before Jawad Sahab was stating...
While you make that excellent point, in your own words, your voters should go through hell, right? That is an amazing strategy as far as I know. But allow me, sir, I'm told that we are left with 3-4 minutes. So I'm going to come to each participant and I'm going to ask them to conclude their remarks as they want to. But please, quickly, sir.
Farrukh, I think the question, very pertinent question from your side, that who is the most popular party, because at the end of the day,
opposition party.
This is the question. And the party, People's Party, which is most claiming that we are going to make the next, we are going to form the next government.
And they might.
And they look at their performance. In the cantonment board elections, they were swept away from Punjab. They couldn't claim one ward election, and they are claiming the whole country. And look at them, that in their own province, they had to almost 50% share with the PTI in the cantonment board election. So this is the latest situation, because I think the only measurement which party is popular, it comes out from the elections.
Yeah, but
the rest is speculation.
The question was PMLN versus People's Party. It was not PMLN or People's Party versus your party, right?
No, I just wanted to comment
Yeah,
about People's
I know,
Party.
but you had
Because there was no discussion on People's Party, so I thought that I should
sir, I think
give them the share of.
Sir, with due respect, it seems that you zone out. Otherwise, half the time we were talking about People's Party. But I will take this.
I
as
didn't
your
talk
conclusion.
about anything about People's Party.
I know,
so,
I know.
So I gave my share.
Okay.
But if you have objection, I'm
No,
sorry
no,
for
I
that.
just pointed out that you said that nobody talked about it. I had to conclude, so this is your conclusion, of course. Half the time you will be attacking opposition, half the time the anchor sitting next to you.
No, I don't attack. I don't attack.
But
I call it clash of wits.
Allow
So
me
when
to-
you are in a
No,
talk
I'm-
show, you should be ready for that.
this is
And I
again
enjoy it. I enjoy it.
Again, turning around
In a good
and shooting media, which is supposed to be party for democracy, is perhaps a new strategy. Otherwise, media enables democracy, right? So allow me to actually go to Farid Raisab. Your conclusions, sir, very quickly.
I believe in what Rana Hassan said when you asked about ousting the the CM of the Punjab. I think the current system suits PML and they will never go for this thing. But the basic thing is, the only thing, whatever they, if they wish to remove the government, or if they wish to go sincerely for the people, they have to make a coordinated move. Else, they should wait for the election. The elections will be the best benchmark to judge the performance of either the PTI, the Pakistan People's Party, the PMLN, or any other political party in Pakistan. The elections will judge. So they need to wait.
Right. So I'm glad that Ahmed Jawaz is
is what I said.
vociferously agreeing with one media man in the program. I'm glad that that has happened. Rana Sahab, very quickly, your conclusion as well.
First of all, I have to protest that you've given the most time to the government. But carrying on, I believe that, God forbid, but it seems like that we are heading for an economic mess. And I hope that they are able to control the dollar and inflation. Otherwise, it is difficult for a common Pakistani to survive a month. And it is purely because of the misgovernance, mismanagement and corruption within the PTI government, which it seems that is directionless and visionless.
Right, right. On that note, I'm told that we have to conclude the program. Rana Hassan Afzal Khan Sahab, thank you very much, sir, for being part of the program. Ahmed Jawad Sahab, I hope this time I'm not mispronouncing any name. Thank you very much for your precious time as well. Farid Raisab Sahab, thank you for being part of the program and discussion. Viewers, you have listened to our participants. While one can actually, in Pakistan, governance is quite a complicated thing, and every government in the past has been accused of being incoherent or perhaps not doing what it could have done. But frankly, for the life of me, I haven't seen a less coherent opposition in this country. And that actually is some kind of reflection on how Pakistan's politics keeps on undermining itself. Opposition may not be lucky or might be lucky that there is this party in government, but government is certainly lucky that these opposition parties are in opposition. In coming days, we cannot tell you what kind of changes are going to come in politics, because we haven't seen that kind of dynamic developing, but things change, and that is because every day time is such that it keeps on changing itself. Every minute time is changing, clock is ticking, and dates are changing. This was today's program. Thank you very much for watching. Take care.